I want to talk about forgiveness.
You know what it is?
No. So
we're going to tell you. Closing the loop, flick it off. Now what?
The question I want to ask is, is it okay to just forget about, just to be general, that there's one person?
Yeah, you got to. Because if you keep remembering it and keep writhing in it, then you keep it active. And forgiveness is moving on. But you know why it's hard for you or anyone to forgive? Because the other who you're seeking forgiveness from isn't ready to let go of holding you responsible for something. So their marbles are saying, you owe me this, you owe me this. Well, of course you don't, and you could never do enough to make that fit. And a lot of times it's forgiving yourself. That's why we say step into the shade. Just step into the shade. In fact, let's point this question at that. So let's say that you're standing, it won't happen today, we assure you, but you're standing in the hot, it won't happen today. Hot, it's not going to happen today. Hot sun. And there's a tree, a lot of trees, dense trees, just not very far from you. And so you just take a step or two. It's really almost effortless. And you just step into the shade. And immediately you feel the relief of the new decision. That's what forgiveness feels like. And it's that easy. We have said, people misunderstand it. We've said, we have never forgiven anyone because we have never condemned them to begin with, so we don't have that adjustment to make. But what forgiveness really is alignment. What forgiveness really is calibrating to source. What forgiveness really is releasing whatever it is that's holding you apart from the love and wholeness of who you are. And it doesn't have anything to do with the others in the way that you all think that it does. We touched on this just a little bit yesterday when we were talking about pointing is pretty easy. I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like that. It's not a difficult thing to point and not point in opposition until you observe something. So Esther found herself observing things that she was feeling uncomfortable with, and then feeling guilty because she was feeling uncomfortable. And we said, we really want you to hear this, it is normal to be aware. And it is normal to observe. And it's normal to react to things because, of course, in other words, you don't want to just go off and hide in a cave where there is no possibility of anybody saying or doing or being anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. But when something comes and you feel your discomfort from it, the forgiveness factor really is just pointing again at what you want. Now what? Now what? Humans have spent so much time comparing themselves to each other in order to evaluate their progress through life. And the only factor of comparison and therefore calibration and alignment is between the you that you have become and the you that you're letting yourself be right here and now. You did the asking part and Source did the answering part, and now you've got to do the allowing part, but nothing else is in the equation. Want to talk specifics?
Yeah. I want to forgive someone, a family member, and I have done a really good job for the last couple of years switching thoughts, having a better feeling thought, and that I came to this state where I don't think about it anymore. So that's
then it's done.
But life gives me like these bits of things when I see someone being nice to their kids.
Yes.
Then it comes back.
Yes. But it's briefer.
Right.
It's briefer and it's easier to...
but then there's also dreams and nightmares.
Well, that means you've got some... it's more in your... If you're having dreams about it, that means there's a more active marble in your bag about it. And so there's still some more releasing to do. We're going to give you some general statements, and then we'll help you get specific, all right? So general statements are, maybe they don't, from your perspective, or from the perspective of the world, if the world knew the story and the world voted on the rightness and the wrongness, maybe that person does not deserve to be forgiven, but you deserve to be forgiving. Maybe that person isn't really a vibrational match to forgiveness, but you deserve to be forgiving. Because it's what you're doing with your thoughts that are affecting your point of attraction and your relationship with who you really are. That's the only story. That's the only story. Morning glory. That's the only story. That's the only story. And everything else is unimportant by comparison. And so the thing about trying to process something, which a lot of people think is the way, we want to say to you, rather than you thinking that you have to process it, understand that the law of attraction is helping you. And here's why. Remember we said that your inner being knows who you have become and knows where you stand in relationship to who you have become, which is the reason for every emotion that you feel. And your inner being is calling you through whatever resistance you've got going on. So your inner being knows that you're wanting that release. So your inner being is calling you through situations to help you release that. And little by little by little by little, you're able to put it in the proper perspective. Here's another phrase that will help you. The first one was the most important one is, and we feel this with us, he can't help where his marbles were. You don't know what was lived by that person and what caused that insecurity, that caused that bullying. Trying to process it, trying to figure it out, trying to dive deep in it and understand it, just keeps your marbles active and your marbles active and your marbles active. So even though that person might not even be on the planet or anywhere near you, still that person's in your dreams or in your thoughts or everywhere you look where there's, because it's still active within you. Well, your inner being has a whole other approach. Your inner being is not like a therapist trying to take you deep and get you to see it and feel it to close it. That doesn't close it, it opens it again and again and again and again. Your inner being just keeps calling you around that by showing you something a little less than that was, and something that's a little less than that was. And then occasionally you see really wonderful relationships right before your eyes. And instead of yearning for them or longing for them or feeling bad that you didn't get that and why do they get that, you'll realize one day that you're watching it and your heart will be singing because you're right there with them, because that's who you now are. You've released something that you couldn't do anything about. You cannot calibrate other people's bags of marbles. You can't understand them. You can't calibrate them. You can't change them. You can offer thousands and thousands and thousands of words. You can drag them to therapy with you. You can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. People's marbles, where you're at with your, let's say it in terms other than marbles, because there aren't really marbles, but your point of attraction right now is what it is, and your point of attraction is going to attract to perfection what it is that you're feeling. And if you don't feel good in that attraction, then the process is flick it off as best you can, and now what, and now what, and now what. The process that has been most effective as we have offered them and as we have observed Esther in it, it's the process of finding easy existing matches. At one time we called that the book of positive aspects. But you don't reach so far that you challenge your own self. Don't say, well, he was a good guy. No, that isn't true. That isn't true. In any framework that you have, that isn't true.
That's another thing I was going to ask, because that just feels like lying to myself if I say, oh, he was a good guy.
Well, that's the point that we're making. That's because you're trying to stretch too far. Now, your inner being is already over there loving this person and knowing the value and benefit. But your inner being has been at this with no let up for more than there are words to explain that kind of time. In other words, and you get there, but the only reason that it's important that you do get there is because you ought to be able to step into the shade. You just ought to be. And what we want to convey to you is that really, you're going to discover, you can't hear it right now yet, but you are going to discover, and you'll remember these words when you discover it. It is as easy to let go of big, bad, awful things as it is of just stepping into the shade because it's uncomfortable. It is that easy when you get to that point of doing it. And that's what we meant. We like this conversation so much that there are thoughts that are turning to things, thoughts that are turning to things, thoughts that are turning to things. But you can't witness them until you're in the vicinity of them, and then you do. Well, some of, hear this, some of the witnessing of the thoughts turning to things is you witnessing somebody else bullying somebody else. That might be part of the thoughts turning to things, and you're watching that. It's not happening to you. You're seeing it from a distance. It's brief. It's not as big, bad, and awful as what you were living. It's not traumatizing in this case. And you may be able to say, well, you know what the world is? You know what the world is? Let's make a statement together. Feel this with us if you can. The world is, your human world is, your civilization, your populations, your human consciousness. What it is a whole lot of people, there are billions of you, who have practiced yourself by deliberate intent and mostly by default into beliefs, beliefs vibrating marbles in a bag, point of attraction, have practiced yourself there. And then the law of attraction is just matching you up everywhere you go with other things that are like it. So Esther started to say to herself, and it sounds like the opposite of forgiveness, but it was on the way to it. We deserve each other. Law of attraction says so. Law of attraction says so. Because when I'm having this thought and this feeling, because of this, we're matching up. And that's what we were wanting to get at when we were saying it's easy to point. You're by yourself, you're feeling good, and I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like that. You can have some really nice moments just thinking about what you like and why you like it. It's easy to point in the absence of anybody else that could be focused on you and activating in themselves the same kind of self-conscious, self-critical, even jealous or angry, activating in their bag because of their life things that match things in your bag because of your life, and then you're off to the races. So if you could just walk around saying, I want to present myself. I'm walking in. We used to say, when you walk into a new segment, well, what's a new segment? A new segment is getting in the car. It's a new segment. Answering the telephone, it's a new segment. Walking to a room full of people. Walking to a room with nobody. Walking to a room with one person. So that's entering the field of attraction. It's a new segment. You're entering the field of attraction. The only thing you need to be aware of is what's going on in your bag, because could be anything going on in their bags. You got a lot to choose from. Look at somebody and criticize what they're wearing in your mind. And for no reason. And a whole different relationship happens between you and whatever's going on. So what it comes down to is if you become an intender rather than an opinionator, if you're intending, and better than waiting until you're in the middle of it and trying to intend around active marbles, intend before you're in the middle of it so that your marbles have control of the room, so to speak, and then watch what happens. We're not asking you to try to figure out how to control others. We're asking you to try to figure out what you're attracting from others and why. When you calibrate to your inner being, now what your bag of marbles reflects is the best stuff that's in all of their bags.